How was it thinking about actually putting this piece out there? Because you make the work, right? You're really excited making the work, but then it can kind of feel like a completely different process thinking about putting the work out there, especially if it does feel very you. It's like you're actually putting yourself out there. How was that for you?
Yeah, that was a real learning curve, and because I hadn't released music before this first EP and the singles that I released as part of it, and I was also self-releasing, so I had to learn a lot very quickly, and there's still so much that I'm learning about the process. So yeah, it made me realize this is a whole extra job that you, as you say, like you feel like the music's done. You're like, it's done. I've done it. Time to share
Completed
it. Fine. And then you go, oh no, I have to actually try and get people to listen to it. So that was a learning curve, and I think one of the big things people kept saying to me is like, don't worry about the statistics on release day. Like, release day is great and everything, but also it's what happens after that, and then going gigging and trying to perform the work and build an audience. And yeah, so that's been an interesting process, and I think also realizing just like all the ways that people want to get money out of you to put you on their playlist or get you onto a radio show. And it was there was a lot to navigate at the start of that and be like, oh, what is actually worth doing? Is any of this actually worth doing?
Did you formulate a very concise plan, or did you just kind of use your nose to find your way?
Yeah, I definitely spent a good amount of time thinking about it, and I think that's because of the help from Sound of Music as well. Like they were saying, have you thought about making your own press release and sending it out to places? So I did quite a lot of prep for it, I'd say, but by the time I released it, I was quite exhausted. I think like it had been because it had been so new for me, this process. I think when it got to the release as well, and there's all the other stuff going on in your life, and also balancing all the other projects or jobs I was working on, I just found I had to not, because there's endless amounts of stuff you can do to push your music out there. I had to kind of be quite kind to myself and try and be like, it's okay if I, only email one person about it today, or just trying to do a little bit every day was quite helpful. And I've heard someone call it like, what is your needle pusher for today? Like, what is the one thing you can do to like push the needle towards what your goal is or what your vision is? And I found that to be such a useful concept. Like, what is the one thing I can do today to kind of further that dream? And it might just be email someone about doing a gig somewhere, or it might be something a lot bigger, like write a funding application, or and I found that to be so helpful when, as a freelancer, working on loads of different projects and actually making the time to prioritize your own work as well.
So it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like that idea though of it can be something very small, but often I find anyway, once I actually start and do a small thing, I feel quite motivated or empowered to like do another thing.
Definitely.
But then sometimes it is just like, I'm going to do that one thing and then crawl back into bed.
Yeah.
It's nice to give yourself that permission sometimes.